Alright, so we're kicking off with the last of the round 2 games of TWC 11. And we've got Despiron versus ingsoc. And it's a English versus Mongols matchup. So, unfortunate for the Mongolian player, he doesn't have a gold mine or a berries right next to his wood line. Just not going to get the most silly of starts. For ingsoc, straight on wood as well as gold. So he's going to go for early mill transition. So I mean, with the English, if they open with wood and gold, it's going to be a mill transition. If it's just wood, it's going to probably be a fast barracks. And if it's just food, then delayed gold, it's going to be no fast mill transition, fast H2. Well, the Mongol player looks as though he's just going to be aging up because he's not really gathering any wood at the moment. He's just going for the gold and the food. Just 7 on the food there. I mean, if the Mongol player's gathering the wood early, then they'll be looking at showing down the barracks on the edge of the OVU and mounting some early game pressure. So this one, going to be going straight to H2, both our players. So ingsoc finding a couple more sheep. I think he's gone up to 2 scouts, while the Mongol player, they start with their Khan just like a regular scout, but they can only build the one. If he dies, he'll retrain after 90 seconds, after 100 seconds. But we're not seeing any scout production here in the early game for the Mongol player. Pretty content just to rely on the Khan. And the fact that with the maneuvering arrow, I think, yeah, they're just as fast as a regular scout, but then with maneuvering arrow, they can actually outpace them. So anytime you sort of got to cover an equal amount of ground, you can always make sure you can actually outmaneuver the enemy scout quickly. Just get those last couple of sheep. And then on top of that, you can always snipe your opponent's sheep, which he's going to do here. Despiron going to rob ingsoc of this sheep, so that's why it's handy to have the 2 scouts, because at least he's still got these guys here. Although Despiron can always make a bit of a charge back home, dropping off his own sheep and trying to intercept this enemy scout, pick off another sheep or 2. So it can just make gathering a pain in the ass for ingsoc early on. But I mean, he's looking at going up to the fast mill transition anyway, so it's not really a huge consequence to him. A bit of fuckery with the animations there of the Khan. A lot of hits off on the scout, but ingsoc can always just pull back and regen. And I mean, Despiron wants to drop off his sheep anyway. But both these players will be looking at aging up, so they've got deer stones on the way for the Mongol player. The age up here for the English player a little bit slower. He's also going to get the wheelbarrow tech, make his villages faster. So especially helpful with with farming, sorry. And then for his wood chopping as well. Particularly as he cuts back some trees, it saves on really having to worry about lumber camps. But yeah, it's most important for farming just because of the amount of walking involved. So as these villagers have to walk around and then back to the town center or mill, particularly if they're on the far side of it, that you really get a bit of efficiency out of having wheelbarrow on a civ like the English early. As well as a civ like Rus, because they'll be on hunts, and it's very hard to get very perfect placement of every last deer around the mill, or around the hunting cabin in their case. We've got a council hall on the way here for ingsoc, so he's going to be able to get some bow production, but he probably would want to abstain in favour of cavalry production, I'd say, in this matchup. I sort of just tend to cry until I lose the game when I play against Mongols. Either that or just rush them, but yeah, I don't know whether ingsoc is best off. He's going to try and take down the Ovu, and he's going to see the range go up, so he knows that it's probably going to be Mangadai production. So I think he might be best off just getting horsemen. Because I mean, particularly, even though they're cavalry, they're ranged, so they'll constantly be able to kite the hell out of spears, and then, well, we are going to see longbow production here from ingsoc. Probably not a bad idea. Oh, archer production, so no Mangadai, a bit too expensive this early perhaps. ingsoc is going to lose a scout here. So the Khans actually get stronger as you age up. So we've actually got bow versus bow here. Double production out of the Ovu, just to sort of keep in line with the fact that this is a council hall, so it can produce bows extremely quickly. These guys are going to be able to outrange this, so if they can take out the Khan, it removes Despiron's ability to actually disengage with maneuver arrow or use the attack speed arrow for the steroid that offers. These outposts are going to be useful because they give the Yam network buff. So Yan provides 15% increased cav speed as well as outpost speed. I mean, there's no early market yet for a Mongolian player, but there's no cavalry yet either. But I mean, if you've got pre-placed outposts and your opponent doesn't pick them off, or if he does stop to pick them off with too much army, it does give you room to do things. You can always take upgrades, the increased damage, and I suppose it's going to benefit the Khan at least. He's taking most of the damage here. Popping attack speed arrow probably not necessary there. This upgrade's already worn off. Actually, the ranged are benefiting from the Yam upgrade. Is that because of the deer stones? Must be because of the deer stones. Because the Yam upgrade out of the other buildings only benefits cavalry and outposts, whereas it must benefit pretty much everything around the Yam. Yeah. I think it must benefit everything around it. Yeah, so the village is basically benefiting from wheelbarrow, even without it. Although, by now, there is wheelbarrow tech, so... Sorry guys, I haven't really played a lot of Mongols, so I just don't know. It's a learning experience. It gives me the ability to talk about something in these breaks in play that might actually teach someone else something. So more ranges, and there is a stables here, so horsemen will be coming out for Despiron, while it'll be barracks for man-at-arms and maybe some spearmen once he sees the horsemen come out. Can't fully healed by now. Haven't actually seen anyone really use the falcon. I didn't really even realise he had one. The outpost has got the archer upgrade. All the outposts here. No upgrades yet. Really important for the English player because it does actually give him a lot of map control, because it actually provides an attack speed boost to units when taking a fight in the area. Well, this outpost to be able to slowly chip away at units of ingsocs. Attacking the man-at-arms probably not all that efficient, but here, Despiron gonna focus down one of the longbows, and I think he might even get him. Despiron not managing to focus on the rest of the bows now. This is gonna fall, but it'll take out. It won't even take out the man-at-arms. Oh, it's gonna be close. Oh, it is gonna get the man-at-arms. So ingsoc actually bleeding a little bit of value there. Considering it's what, 175 resources? So you got 190 resources and 110. So yeah, ingsoc actually not really coming out ahead with taking out that tower, because Despiron did focus down a single man-at-arms and a single archer. Whereas if you got one or the other, it probably would have been worthwhile. But this has bought both players a little bit of time just to fill out their armies a little bit. And Despiron probably should cancel that so he can get his resources back out of it. Because even though he's gone for the stables, he's only added one horseman so far. But he's been trying to take age 3 behind this. This should be why he's really been banking up food. Not really a lot of else in the bank, which is really nice. He's been spending quite well, actually. Arrow Slits is going to kick in midway through this fight, so this might actually trap ingsoc a little bit here, because he's bringing everything forward and he's going to try and take down the Ovu. But now Arrow Slits is kicked in, and that's a lot of bowmen. 30 bows versus 20 longbows, so even though the longbows are better 1-to-1, it's not going to make up that sort of difference. And these guys are fighting right on top of Despiron's production, so ingsoc's actually going to be thinned out a bit quicker than I think he thought he would be here. And on top of that, the man-at-arms really just now providing a huge threat. I think they were focusing down one of the buildings. So the Ovu's dead, so there's no double production anymore for the Mongols player, but now they're fighting right underneath the outpost, which is focusing down the longbows this time. Those man-at-arms are a bit of a threat. You can't really stick around with them. They're such a heavy infantry unit, but now Castle Age kicks in, so this allows for crossbow production for Despiron. Again, the outpost focusing down the man-at-arms. It probably should be attacking the bowmen just for the fact that even though the man-at-arms are tankier, well actually for that reason, you can really pick off longbows before your opponent really pushes in and not have to worry about such a hefty range count while you can focus down the infantry. The tower's creeping forward here. For ingsoc, he really wants to make use of this bonus attack speed, but he may be overplaying his hand now because there is a lancer out now, so it's going to eat a lot of shots. But now Despiron focusing on the front line, and while this is going on, he's going to lose some of his own bowmen. We'll be fighting under a couple of outposts. Ingsoc not H3 yet, so he's not able to get the Springald upgrade and really hit the army, but even with double outpost and the archers, it's enough to really deter Despiron from pushing out here. Despiron's eco is looking really nice behind this, especially with the step redoubt, considering it gives him so much gold. That gold vein is going to run out soon, but this can always be shifted, your Mongol, so you can just pack it up and move it straight onto the next gold vein. If you get on the large one without losing the landmark, it could be really significant. Because bearing in mind, ingsoc only age 2, hasn't managed to go to a second town centre yet, so he's sort of relying on this pushing to really go his way. He's going to be able to start cleaning up production now, and there's not a lot of a front line here to really deter the rams, but there is enough of a back line they can be slowly chipped away at. But now that more rams are on the way, I think the pressure's on. Despiron needs to make sure he doesn't lose too much production here. And those are his pastures, so if they go down, though he's got some more over here. So ingsoc, everything going his way visually, but the scoreboard telling a different story. Despiron seems to have a bit of an eco lead, especially with that step redoubt gold income. So Vil counts are 49 to 55 in favour of Despiron. ingsoc just slipping slightly with his Vil production, but it's nothing huge. Oh, in the meantime, actually no, he's not. I take that back. Despiron slipped in a couple of knights and has picked off some stuff in the background. So he's actually really managed to clean up quite a lot here. He's still going at the woodline, and he killed a couple of food gatherers too. Now he's pushing out on ingsoc. May have overstayed his welcome. Some of the pastures have gone down. So that'll slow down the Mongol eco. But in saying that, ingsoc has really dropped the ball on defending this woodline over here. He's still dropping villages. So ingsoc, 47 vils to Despiron's 58, so what really seemed to be going ingsoc's way is really now slipping out of his grasp, I think. He's still got a lot of idlers and inefficient gatherers over here on this woodline, and yeah, I think he just dropped a little bit more than he thought he should have. Than I thought he should have over there on that top side. Like, he even had some spears here that cleaned up the other lancer. Really good awareness from Despiron to send in a pair of lancers split up like that while pushing out. Or while his opponent tries pushing him, really. And now Despiron. Wonderful spot economically. And ingsoc's really only just hit castle age now. So he's going to be well behind in terms of crossbow production. In terms of knight count. So it's going to be quite tough because it'll be an age 2 army versus an age 3 army basically. With some bowmen into support. A lot of towers here though, so could be hard for Despiron to really break out of this, and he might have to keep expanding around the map. But ingsoc's eco is just dire compared to Despiron's at the moment. Age 3 being that much later, so he's not going to catch up in Vil count particularly quickly. This step redoubt Already been used to great effect once. Now shifted over onto another very safe gold mine. While this one on the front side doesn't really have to worry about going for. You can always shift up to this high ground one, or sneak around over to this one if push comes to shove. ingsoc bringing everything back. So he must have caught... Is that a tower or... Yeah, ingsoc actually bringing everything back just in case he gets raided. But Despiron gonna actually try and push into the outpost in the meantime. Ooh, and this isn't great for ingsoc. He's brought everything with the ram, and the rams move slower than the rest of the army, so it's going to take forever and a day for ingsoc to actually get here. He probably should have deselected the rams, put them off to the side, and had the rest of the army get here now, but it'll be too little too late. He is going to lose these 4 outposts pretty much for free, so it's been a bit of a sloppy decision there from ingsoc, I think. He probably should have had the whole army come sprinting down with the rams in tow behind them rather than have it all selected together. Because now he's given up 3 upgraded outposts, a 4th outpost, and a house. And there's a bit of an oddly placed lumber camp there. I'm not sure if it actually ended up paying for itself. Oh, it did. Just. Now, big fight going down. The rams being brought in just to act as a bit of a buffer, but Despiron not going for them at all, completely ignoring them. And he's able to clean up ingsoc's front line. That slight advantage he's been able to press. Now, ingsoc fighting on his doorstep. He's going to have to duck and weave and try and sit under the town centre. It's a huge army for Despiron. He's well ahead at the moment. A ram in tow. And he's even going to clean up these rams for ingsoc. Not going to give him the chance to try and sneak them down here and get a gur or a barracks or a couple of pastures. So a lot of villages under threat now for ingsoc. But being English, he can actually look at trying to garrison some for the insane town centre damage that English has in defense, as well as the fact that the villagers can actually do a little bit of range damage. And a ram in here just eating a couple of shots. It's not really the great effect at the moment. So here we go, the villagers are going to try and fight the man-at-arms outside the range of the bows. But GG, ingsoc doesn't have enough left and he has to tap out. Despiron takes the win.